without spoiling too much just yet, why do I have a feeling that this is actually the end game that the more sinister members of PureFlix have in mind, the ending of this show? Yeah, there's going to be a spoiler half of this video. I'm going to let you know. We're not going to do a spoiler talk, but let's just do it. Let me just tell you now. Hi, I'm Greg, the movie and TV guy. Movies and TV, this is what we do here. And this review is of Midnight Mass. I watched the entire series today, all 7 hours of it. And I got some things to say, but here's how it's going to work for this one, okay? First half of this video, we're going to do basic, cut and dry, what's it about, who's involved, what I thought about it, and my score. Second half is going to be spoilers. So, I will say this. For the most part, if you want to have any interest at all, you might not want to watch any of this video, but especially not the second half, because there will be spoilers. If you do, at around, I know, roughly when I tell you the spoiler's coming, quick pause, take a 7-hour break, go watch it, come back. If you wanna, or just screw it. I don't know. Also, like I said with my This is the Year video, if I sound a little bit off and a little tired and I stumble on some speech, it's because I am tired and I'm gonna go to bed right after this thing gets uploaded. Okay. So, that being said, again, I'm Grant, the movie and TV guy. Movies and TV is what we do here, and we're talking about yet another, along with Scenes from a Marriage, another TV show this year that is really, really drawing the line between just a long-form episodic film and television. I am really honestly considering both this and something else being considered a movie in a list that should give you a hint. And that is Midnight Mass. This is created... nearly every episode is co-written at least by or solely written by, and all 7 episodes are directed by Mike Flanagan. Now, if anyone knows my channel knows, I've pretty much idolized this man since 2013, when his first real big movie that kind of broke out was Oculus. I love this man. I went from simply garden variety loving him to basically thinking he was the cinematic equivalent of the second coming of Wes Craven when I saw The Haunting of Hill House. I think that show is a masterpiece. In fact, if I could reach it right now, I'd grab you my Blu-ray. I love that show. On the previous Instagram version of the show, I did about a close to hour-long multi-part breakdown of why I think Hill House and Bly Manor are allegorically linked, and also the most meaningful pieces of horror fiction of my lifetime. So, needless to say, I had big expectations going into this. I also adored Dr. Sleep. So, did it live up to it? Yeah, it sure did. But in a way that you might not expect. So what's it about? The show stars Zach Gilford, who, if people who knows who Zach Gilford is. He was on Friday Night Lights, among other things. He was also in the really underrated Alexis Bledel comedy Postgrad, which you haven't seen that. It was critically reviled. I never quite understood why. I thought it was kind of delightful. Her grandma is played by Carol Burnett. And, he's in this, as is some regulars. We got Kate Siegel, who's in everything, because she's actually married to Mike Flanagan, but it's not nepotism, because she's really freaking good. And that's similar to earlier with This is the Year, the fact that the main character is played by the director's brother. He genuinely earned that role. So does Kate Siegel. Basically, Zach Gilford is in an accident that takes the life of an innocent young woman while driving drunk. He serves 4 years in prison, and he comes back to his little island town where his family lives. It's a very religious kind of area. And the former priest is taking what we believe is temporary leave and is replaced by Father John. He is played by, and I think a career best performance by the terrific character actor Hamish Linklater, who is fantastic in this, as is everyone, pretty much. And the town is also ruled by an iron fist by Samantha Sloan, a.k.a. Stephen Crane's wife, ex-wife on Haunting of Hill House. She's the one who said, did the "you're an eater, Steve" speech, in case, just to jog your memory, one of the creepy-ass scenes in that. She's essentially the major villain in this. She's basically a religious zealot. She's basically a cross between Saint Maud and a Karen, a literal Karen from hell. She's a bigot and she's evil. And basically, the community in this town sort of collides with this priest as weird, miraculous things happen. But is it the work of some divine miracle, or is it the work of something sinister? It's the work, spoiler alert, kind of, it's the work of something sinister. And they have to face their demons, literally and figuratively, to save the world, or at least save the hope for the next generation. Look, I'm going to come right out with this. I loved Midnight Mass, but there is a very good chance that this is one of the few Mike Flanagan films you can honestly call polarizing among his fan base, and I'll tell you why. I'll get to that later. All I will say is the acting is first rate, everyone is phenomenal, the horror is well executed, even stuff that seems like it's going to be a little silly later on really pays off in a really moving and effective way. It's beautifully shot, it's allegorical as hell, it's well written, and it's a very slow burn, and there is a lot of talking in it. And that has already turned some people off who don't seem to understand who Mike Flanagan is and why his movies work, or shows, whatever you call it. Here is the biggest thing. In order to talk about the potential problems people have with it goes into spoilers. So, final verdict is Midnight Mass is, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the peak of the mountain of the haunting duology, but it's still, even Mike Flanagan that's not the top of the Mike Flanagan heap is still Mike Flanagan, and that's still pretty great, and it's still pretty close to the top, and some moments are the top. I'm going to give Midnight Mass 5 out of 5 stars, of course I am. This is excellent television. It is so worth the investment, and you should not go in with a hamster-sized attention span. Go in knowing it's going to be a sit, it's going to be a slow burn, and go in knowing that the payoff might work for you and might not. So, 5 out of 5 stars for Midnight Mass, all that happy stuff. Spoilers from this point until basically the last couple minutes of the video. So here's the biggest thing. So I'm going to give you one last chance. Spoiler alert. From this point on, pretty much I'd say for the next 4 minutes of this video, or 3 minutes to 4 minutes, it's going to be spoilers. I'll let you know when the spoilers end. Okay. When you hear me giving my goodbye rhetoric, the spoilers have ended. Okay. Are you done? Everyone who's left, or who just simply doesn't care. The reason I brought up purely this is that basically we find out that though somewhat villainous, Hamish Linklater, this is where spoilers come in, isn't really the villain. Samantha Sloan is. Basically, this whole show, I could almost tell that some of it was written during lockdown, because this show, whereas Hill House had bleak elements at the end, but it had genuine sentimentality and heart and hope at the end, this has sentimentality, but there's not a lot of hope, and I'll tell you how. Barely anyone makes it out of this movie. Also, they're vampires. The bad guys, this is a vampire story, and essentially it's a vampire story that is an allegory for the spreading of religious zealotry and bigotry. The goal of the show at the point that it gets to a climax is no one can leave this island except by boat, and essentially Kate Siegel leads the charge, because at this point Zach Gilford basically commits suicide. She leads the charge to, this is the point where I said it almost got silly when the vampire thing came on. Until this happened, she said something very telling. We need to stop the boats from going, and we need to burn down the church, and we need to stop the boats from going. Basically knowing that none of them are going to live, really. Or we're lucky if they're going to. It says, the most important thing now is not us. It is keeping them from getting to the boats. And then you realize what she means. Oh, getting to the boats means leaving the island and therefore brainwashing the world. This whole show is an allegory for brainwashing and the detriment it can have, and that sometimes even self-sacrifice is worth more than bigots enslaving America. The bigotry is going to end the world, basically, is what the point of the movie is. It's also really wonderful in how it addresses the fact that all faiths kind of matter. Like, even atheism. There is a certain level of atheism, Christianity, Catholicism, Buddhism, all the kinds of religion. Like, there's one person who is of the Muslim faith, who is a major character, and she hates him for it, which is bullshit. And his character is, even in the moments of it. So basically, their whole community ends, but the world is saved. And they come together in almost like religious fervor, singing basically in the face of doomsday, which eventually envelops them all. But 2 children, and children are the ones who are going to lead the next generation. This whole thing is very allegorical. My point to say this is this. The worst, basically the people who are constantly, I almost see some of it as both religious zealotry and anti-maskers. In a lot of ways, this seems to be like almost a crusade against, on some level, without politicizing it necessarily, against people who are basically not only harming themselves by their stupidity and their blind faith in a leader, in this case probably Donald Trump, But also, without saying it as much, but also the fact that it is essentially going to not only kill them, but kill the people around them. So basically they're killing people for the sake of really bullshit reasons. And it also has to do with bigotry. It also has to do with people who are commit acts of violence for racial purposes, all that stuff. But it's somehow able to be wrapped in a way where it's relatively apolitical. It really does that in that way that Mike Flanagan does it so well, but there's a debate, but it really is meaningful. I'm not gonna lie, there's more to say, but I don't have a lot of time. Midnight Mass might not be for you if you want the hope that something Hill House has, but if you're someone who likes Mike Flanagan in all shades of him, the hopeful side and the bleak but hopeful side that he does, like in stuff like Dr. Sleep and Ouija, you're gonna love this. If you just are like me, love Mike Flanagan and love what he tries to say, regardless of the mood of his piece, and this one is the most violent thing. It pushes you right to the wall of like emotional brutality and physical brutality, but what it finds at the end of it, as bleak as it is kind of one of the best endings he's ever done, when you really stop and think about it, because there's really something really more he's trying to say here, even in regards to, that goes beyond emotional stakes, but goes other places. Anyway, I'm going to start sounding more pretentious. I probably didn't dislike this video anyway. I don't really care, just for spoiling it, even though I warned you. So, basically, we're going to close the book there. Spoilers end here. But, again, I'll say, Midnight Mass gets 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, we will be back tomorrow with Dear Evan Hansen tomorrow night, probably later tomorrow night, and then we will be talking maybe Dear White People Season 4. I'm gonna watch it. I don't know if that's gonna be one I'm gonna do separately or gonna bunch in, but I'm definitely going to have some other two Season 2 I also really want to talk about because it just got renewed again, which is great because that show's really underrated. But anyway, that'll all be next time. And also, like, next we got Venom and probably the Jesus music. Don't mess with the Jesus music. And then also Addams Family 2, and Many Saints of Newark, among others. Maybe that new show Made, kind of want to check that out. I like Margaret Qualley a lot, and Nick Robinson a lot. But that'll all be next time, and until next time, man, the movie and TV guy. I see it all, and I'm happy to share it with you. And I gotta go to bed, so I love you all, appreciate you all. I love you all, class dismissed. I love you 3000. Be kind to one another. And if you like this video, give it a like if you want to, give it a subscribe if you want to, give it the bell. I don't know what it does, what it's supposed to do. I'm very tired, and I'm stumbling a lot. I'm definitely going to be doing a review of Scenes from Marriage. That's the other one that I'm going to give 5 stars to, and I'm pretty certain is going to end up on my best of list, regardless of if it's TV. I don't really care, because they're both really good. And then if you want to find me elsewhere, reviews and other stuff, including my review of this, which will be up very soon, as well as my list of my review of a film earlier today, This Is the Year, which I gave 4 stars to. You can check me out on letterboxd.com at Grant the Movie and TV Guy, and you can even chat with me there if you wanna. And as long as everything's civil, I love having film discourse in that environment. It's a lot of fun. So lists, reviews and other fun stuff. And go watch Midnight Mass. It's worth it, even if you come out of it not liking it as much as I did. And thank you all. Take care. Can't wait for the Midnight Club. That's the next project that's going to be on Netflix. It's going to be great, I'm sure. The guy never fails as far as I'm concerned. All right. Thank you all. Take care. Have a good night. I got to go to bed. Bye.